Hello, here we are. It's another episode, and I'm here with Gordon Rutty, and I believe you like to be called Gordo. Is that right?
Yes, that's what I'm known by my community friend. I'm used to it, accustomed to it. Yeah, I'm Gordo. That's my number plate actually says
Good.
I am Gordo.
Oh, I love it. I love it. All right. Well,
Yeah,
Gordo, it is. Okay. Well, thanks for
it
joining me,
is.
Gordo. Yeah, I'm.
Oh, my
I'm. Ex-
pleasure. My pleasure.
I'm excited. Excited to have you in the chair and get to know you a bit better and talk about you and how that relates to Six Star. So, to get started, I have a few questions I like to ask all my guests. And this is a way
Yes.
for us to get to know who you are. So, could you tell me, please, where are you in the world? Who do you serve? And how do you serve them?
I live on the Gold Coast, southeast Queensland, the most beautiful place on earth, I believe. I've been to many places, and there's very few that offer what the Gold Coast does. So I love living here, whether we want the hinterland or we want to go down to the beach or to the marina, it's all here. So I love living on the Gold Coast. Who do I serve? My my core value is connection. So I love people. I love supporting people. My community, I've got the most amazing community of, whether it's the business community I'm in or the fitness community I'm in. I just love the support I get from them, and it's what I really love. Love my family. I mentioned to you I had a little surprise. 2 weeks ago, I became a granddad. So little Henry is our new addition. So that's super. And he was born 2 weeks ago, but I only got to meet him today. So today has been a very, very
Oh,
special day. He was 2 weeks and 1 day overdue. So I'd already planned to go to Perth, and I thought surely he's going to arrive before I have to leave. And I left around lunchtime on the 5th of April, and he was born 10 p.m. on the 5th of April. So I had to wait 2 weeks because we only got home from Perth last night about 11. So I met him today at around 11:30. So it was pretty special to meet him today. So that was
congrats.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
And got
And
him
is
to
he?
sleep in my arms. So yeah, my
Mhm.
first grandchild. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So very exciting. But
Look,
why
I look.
sorry.
No, I was going to say, look at it this way. He was getting himself ready for you. He's making himself look good for
Yes.
you for those first two
Yeah,
weeks.
that's right. Exactly. Yeah. So the reason I went to Perth, I said something else exciting that happened is I got that while I was in Perth, which is a gold medal for the 5K road race in the World Transplant Games. So that was pretty special to have happen over the last 2 weeks. That was my
Well
race
done.
bib. so, so the last 2 weeks have been very eventful and very exciting, and yeah, been having a great time. But great to be home, and yeah, obviously I
Hmm.
was seeing photos of Henry every day. My wife was sending him, my son and daughter were sending through photos of Henry, so I was very keen to get back home to see
Hmm.
them. So, yeah,
Mm. Beautiful. So
yeah.
now that you've got that new lease element to your life, which no doubt will unfold in the future in a very exciting way, with
Yeah.
regards to you being a connector. So you say you connect and you've got these groups that you're part of and you
Yeah.
love being with them. And obviously you serve them in different ways by just probably your energy. Is there something else that you do um, with that service?
Uh, Definitely. Well, what people tell me is that that they do love my energy. I get very excited. I get very passionate about things, and in I say the business community, they kind of come together. The business community and for example, the fitness community that I'm in, whatever it is that I do, I get so much support, and they make me I feel embarrassed sometimes because I come up with these ideas and people get behind me, and then things happen, and then people say how wonderful you are, and I go, well, I can't do anything without without my friends and without my family. And so I just I love it. While I was over at the Transplant Games, I feel like it's a show and tell. I got another award, which is this one, which is a lifetime membership to the Transplant Australia community for for what they say, for the things that I've done for them over the years. But again, I can't do any of that stuff without without the support of the communities that I'm involved with. We have a charity ball here every year on the Gold Coast called the Orange Ball, which is a transplant ball, and everybody just pitches in and makes it a spectacular event. They put me up to chat, and everybody thinks I've done it, but obviously I haven't done it all. It's what everybody else contributes, and we just have a great time. And we help a lot of people, and that brings me so much joy and satisfaction in life. Yeah.
That's beautiful. So obviously working for this charity is something that's very dear to you. Are there other charities or groups that you do work for?
Yeah, we do that. Like
Or
on the Gold Coast here, we have our own charity, which is called the Pride of Better Men and Lionesses. It was birthed out of, I did a boxing program. Wow, geez, nearly 8 years ago now. It was in 2015, and through that program, I thought I was just going in there to do a challenge, but at the end of it, you were given the opportunity to hang around and then help other men through that program. So it wasn't really about, whilst it was a physical challenge, it was more, an emotional and a mental challenge for a lot of people, and for a lot of men who were struggling. And I got the opportunity at the end of that to hang around and be a support for those men. And the group that I'm with now was birthed out of that. We formed a charity, which was originally a men's group, but all the activities we were doing, our wives and partners wanted to come along to everything. So we thought, well, why should it be a men's group? Let's make it a community group. So that's why it's not just the Bettermen now, because it was a pride of Bettermen. It's now the Bettermen and the Lionesses. So we're just a charity that, we go out and raise funds for different organisations. Obviously, Transplant Australia is a big one, but then there's another charity here on the Gold Coast, which is PTSD Resurrected, and that's run by a gentleman who was in the armed forces, and he was a bomb disposal guy. So he came back with lots of issues, and he worked through a program he was introduced to. Now he runs that program for first responders and return servicemen, and now the greater community. So some of our fundraisers are done for him. There's a local women's refuge here that we spent many years working bees, and we've built 6 family units for them over since 2015. We started doing that. So that one is great. So our charity is one that we just do things, but it's all for other charities, which again, gives us all, a great sense of community.
Wow, I'm sure we could talk for hours on all of that. Just from hearing that short little description, my mind is kind of going off into different areas, and I'm like, wow, I'd love to ask him about this, and what about this? So, we've only got a certain period of time together, but it sounds so interesting and exciting. How do you choose the projects or the direction to, or the different charities to support and the projects in
So we have every Wednesday morning we have our our charity meeting. So there's a group of us, the core group of the charity. We meet for breakfast on a Wednesday morning, and what we've done is we basically mapped out a calendar for the year with all the different things, and there's always something going on. And yeah, we just map out what we think we can do over that 12-month period, and we just start locking in dates to, okay, well, on this date we're going to do this event. So we've got coming up in about a month's time what we call the 7 Summits Challenge, which is a weekend we take, and in the rainforest here, there's a little circuit, and we just keep going around that circuit. It's got elevation in it, so we just keep adding up every time we go around. We've done 500 meters of elevation, and the idea is to see, of the 7 summits, what elevation we can reach. And again, it's a fundraiser that we put on, and those funds go to the PTSD Resurrected. And yeah, so that's what we do. We just plan it out, and we can't do everything. We can't serve everybody, but we've chosen a few of what we think is charities and causes here on the Gold Coast that we can champion and put all our efforts behind.
That's wonderful. And so you obviously connect with the business community and give them an opportunity to contribute both resources. Is that right? Just to get them involved. And
yeah, so I'm in BNI here on the Gold Coast. So in BNI, I think there's 17 chapters and close to 500 members in BNI here on the Gold Coast, and it's actually Gold Coast and Tweed Head. So there's a few chapters just over the border, and yeah, that community is so supportive of all the things I do. When we have the ball, you look out there, and there's a lot of them are from that community, and they support with time and with financially as well for us.
Gordo, I'm really keen to know, how did you get to be doing this? Like, there's a journey. There's obviously a journey. We've all got journeys, and you've been talking about just getting an award from Perth, where you just were, from Transplant Australia. So people's minds are probably going, oh, so has he had a transplant? What's his involvement with this? You've got a journey. I'd love to know it. Could you share with me then what's been your journey and that's brought you to where you are today?
I think what it has been is, I come from, like, my mum and dad have passed away now, but I come from had a wonderful childhood. I'm not someone that can, complain about my childhood. My mum and dad were the best. I guess one of my favourite childhood memories I have, and I must have been 12 or 13, and I was sitting on my bed with my mum, and she said to me, not that she had favourites, but she said to me, "You've got the best disposition out of all my children." She had 4 children. And for some reason, that just stuck with me. And I've just always had a desire to just do what I can. So how I came to be involved with, Transplant Australia and so forth, is my sister-in-law. I remember, it's got to be 25, 30 years ago. I remember hearing that one of her brothers had donated his kidney to one of the sisters, not to my sister-in-law, but one of her sisters. And that saved her life. And I thought, wow, that's amazing. I'd love to do something like that. There was no one in our family that, that had an issue with that. And I think, time goes on, and you just get caught up in life and didn't do anything. And then I was living in Coffs Harbour, and I had a friend there that her brother needed a kidney transplant, and she was going to be his donor. And again, I thought, I really enjoyed that, because I was there from when she made that decision till when she actually, went through the process of donating her kidney to her brother, and it was just such a wonderful experience for her to give life to her brother. He would have passed away if he didn't get. He would have passed away from kidney failure, and she saved his life. Like, wow, how cool is that? And at the time, chatting to my wife, she was saying, "Oh, you can't do that, because what if something happens to your other kidney if you donate your kidney to somebody? And again, yeah, I didn't do anything. I kind of respected what she's saying, but then I had two friends that passed away quite close to one another, not from any organ failure. One was from a brain tumor and the other one was from esophageal cancer. And so there was nothing I could do for them. But I said, you know what? I can do something for somebody. And I had to talk to Karen. And she knew how passionate I was about doing that. I had no idea what to do or where to start. So I just started making some inquiries. I put my hand up and said, hey, I'm healthy. I've always been healthy. I've never had any issues. This is what I like to do. And then how it actually came about was I actually wrote, because I spoke to a hospital up here in Queensland at the time. You couldn't donate a kidney unless it was to a family member. So I said, well, you can't do it here. It's illegal. I think that laws are changed in Queensland now. They said, you've got to do that in Western Australia or New South Wales. So then I sent off some emails to New South Wales and the Western Australia, and I got feedback from a doctor and said, well, I can help you with that process. And it took about 2 years from when I made that decision to when they said, well, we've got the perfect, and the good thing about being a living donor is it's not rushed. They can take the time to find the most perfect match they can. And that's, even though it took 2 years, but then I don't know who the person is, but they found that person. And at the time I didn't know whether it was a male or female, a child or an adult, but it was about probably 4 or 5 weeks after they let them send me a card, a thank you card. So I know from the card that they were a parent. Still don't know whether they're a mum or a dad, but they'd spent 5 years on dialysis, not being able to, live normal. Now they can do everything with the kids, and so that was pretty special. Yeah. And that's where, and then since then, because I didn't know much about it beforehand, I had no idea that there's 1,800 people on the waiting list at any one time, and that's just the people who get the waiting list. There's so many more people that could actually do with an organ transplant, and 2 of those people die every week. And we don't need that, because in Australia we've got some of the best surgeons that do this type of surgery. And if you interviewed the population, the research says 70% of us say, yep, I'll do that. When I don't need my organs anymore. I'm not asking people to do like a living donation. I'm just saying when you don't need them anymore, let someone else have them. Give that gift. And 70% of Australians say, yeah, I would do that. I think that's a great idea. But the reality is there's only 35% registered organ donors in Australia. So if we at least it's people who don't think it's a great idea, we're not trying to convince people that it's a great idea, but if you already think it's a great idea, then let's get registered, because we could. So my mission is, and that's why my charity walk every year is called the Walk to End the Wait. So that's what I do, and I walk around with a big flag and I talk to businesses, and that helps promote our ball at the same time. So and I just think we can. There's lots of causes out there, but this is one we don't need to learn how to do it. We know how to do it. And if everybody who thinks it's a great idea jumps on board, then there's so many lives that can be saved, and we can, stop those, the statistics of 1,800 people having. I mean, the thing is, once you get to that waiting list, your quality of life is not very good at all. Not very good at all. And going to those transplant games was just amazing for me to see just the joy on the faces of people who've been given that second chance. That prior to that, we the other thing I had the opportunity of doing, that's why I left here on the 5th of April, we took the Gift of Life baton from the Gold Coast to Perth on our motorbikes. And the significance of that was the last time the World Transplant Games were on, they were here on the Gold Coast. And because they're in Perth, we took it across the country, and we got to speak to so many people. On the last day of the ride, we had a dad bring his son to meet us at Merredin, which is our last stop before we rode into Perth. Young Jake, and he was telling us his story about before he had a liver transplant, and before that, he said life was just, he couldn't do anything, couldn't do all the things that other kids were doing. And now he's competing against the 46 countries were there at the World Transplant Games represented, and he's winning gold medals for his country, which was just amazing to see him to do that. And then Robbie, another young guy who's from the Gold Coast here, he was a speaker at our ball last year. I think he's 12 or 13, and you just see the excitement on their faces to be able to do something like that. And again, he won 4 gold medals, in the swimming on Monday and Tuesday, and it was just amazing. It's just so wonderful to see. It's like the chairman of Transplant Australia, he was talking at the opening ceremony. He said, "These bunch of people are the most grateful, happy people that he's ever met in his life." And they all are. They're grateful for that gift, and that's what it's all about. It's about giving that gift of life to someone else. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. It's just, yeah, I love hearing the way you talk about it, Gordo, and it's just all pure heart, and I can feel the emotion. And you're right, it's a gift. These people get to live. They get to live and continue their lives, and yeah, it's just beautiful. What an
Yeah, we met on the day we left. We did a send off at the Gold Coast Hospital for us taking off on the bikes, and we met a gentleman there, Terry. He's 82 years old. He's going to be the oldest. Well, he is the oldest competitor at the games this year, and he got his heart transplant 31 years ago, and it was during the 2000 Olympics that he was carrying the torch some of the way, and just by coincidence, the parents of the boy that gave him his heart worked out that that's who he was. And now these two couples, the Terry with his wife and Tom, I just forget Tom's wife's name, the dad of their son was 17, I think, when he passed away. And his heart's now in Terry. And where it's not normal, it's not normal for donor families to meet the recipients, but they just worked it out, and everyone said, yeah, you're right, that's who it is. And these guys now, so that's in 2000, so that's 23 years ago, these two couples have formed the most amazing bond, and they just do so much stuff together, and it's just amazing. That gives, so obviously it's sad to lose someone, but I just see it as giving meaning to that. And now there's a legacy that, Terry's now had another 31 years to live. It's incredible. And he's just so grateful for that opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I had a story. I was talking to someone in the last couple of weeks, actually, and she shared the story of how her 18-year-old daughter passed away suddenly. And at the funeral, one of the girls in the town, they had a big funeral, and one of the girls that was dancing at the funeral, they had a big thing. 2 years later, this girl lost her life, and so this young girl, and she ended up donating her kidney to the first deceased girl's father.
Oh,
So
wow.
the two families actually worked it out. So it was the mother of the dancer girl that said, look, hang on, your husband is so sick, with his kidney and all this sort of stuff. And then basically, it all happened. So those families figured it out together, and they became conjoined then forever after. So I do understand. It's the second time I've heard that just in the last couple of weeks,
Yeah.
and it's just really, really heartwarming. This is what life's all about, you know. It's humanity. It's how we can help and give to other people. And
Yeah.
I love what you're
I mean,
doing. I've got a couple. Yeah.
Oh, I was just saying that, you know, I mentioned was Saturday night we had the dinner over there in Perth, and you know, people always ask, well, why did you do that? What would make you want to, you know, basically risk yourself to say so? I say, well, and it's my honest belief is that I think at some level, you and I, everybody, we're connected at some level. What happens to me affects you somehow. You know, don't ask me exactly how, but it does. You know, what happens to you affects me, and at some level, we're all connected. And I just have a belief that, you know, a lot of people say, "Well, something happens to you." I go, "Well, if something happens to me, then, you know, I believe that, you know, there will be someone there for me. You know, if something happens to my kids, then there will be something there for them, and if there isn't, then that's just the unfolding of life. We have to just allow life to unfold without having too much emphasis on what we think the outcome needs to be. If we can bring our best, if we can do our best in every moment do our best. And we don't know, and I don't always, you know, we're human. But if our intention is to always do our best in every moment and think, okay, this moment that's passing before me, what can I do to make that moment better than it was before it came before me? If we can all do that, regardless of what the outcomes are, for us personally, the world's got to be a better place if we can do that. So we put so many conditions on how life has to be for us. You know, we think, I want this, I want that. And when it doesn't turn out that way, we get upset about it. But that doesn't help. If we go, what we've got to do is go, well, this is reality. This is what's happening. How can I best deal with this now? Not go, oh, it should have been like this. I'm going to do exactly what I was going to do if it was like this. I heard it explained to me the other day by a gentleman I love listening to, Michael Singer. He said, you're playing golf and you go, okay, I'm going to hit this ball 400 yards down the fairway. And in my mind, my next shot's going to be just a little, whatever pitch. I'm not a golfer, but, you know, a little wedge, pitch it up onto the green and happy days. But you don't do that great drive. You hit it over in the rough. But, well, you know what? I don't care about that. I'm still going to use my wedge. I don't want to be in the rough. I'm going to use my wedge to get out of it. And now you're 300 meters or 300 yards away from the. Well, that's not going to work, is it? It's not going. You know, you've got to deal with. Go, okay, don't get upset. This is where I am. What is the best thing I can do? What's the best shot I can make from the rough to get me to the green? Not get upset about I'm not 20 meters from the green. What can I do with the situation I'm in right now? If we can do that every time, rather than getting upset because everything isn't exactly the way we want it to be, because we'll do better if we go accept it, embrace it, and respect what's in front of us, then we'll do much better with everything that we do.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Absolutely makes sense. And I love Michael Singer. And
he's awesome, isn't he? So practical.
He is.
He's so practical.
And I recall something he says in one of his books, that all suffering is caused from us not accepting what is, which is exactly what you just said.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
We don't need to. We don't need to. We just, you know, we've got to. Life is happening. Life, and the thing is, life, and like the other things, all of life is beautiful. You know, death is beautiful. Birth is beautiful. It's all beautiful. You know what? Look at the trees. A seed. What does that? Life does that. We don't do that. We might say we planted it, but we don't do that. I look at my little grandson now. What does that? It creates a little baby. If we can embrace and work with life rather than fighting it, which so I'm guilty. I've fought with it before. I don't want to be here. I don't want to do that. That's not what I wanted. But that doesn't get you far. You've got to go, well, this is it. Respect life, embrace it, and go, okay, what's the best I can do? If we can do that, it's going to be better than we ever thought it could be.
In saying that, Gordo, I want to take you back to the decision you made to donate your kidney. Mm-hmm. Would you say that that was a moment where you were being your best and doing your best in that moment for your life and for the greater good?
I would say yes. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like a calling to you, and you rose to the occasion. You responded and said, "This is what I can give life."
Yeah, and it's the I think what greater humbly, what greater gift can there be?
Yeah.
Than giving life. So, but we can all do that. When I say we can all, when I pass away, there's no guarantee. No, I'm a registered organ donor, and my family would fully support. There's no guarantee that when I die, my organs can be used. Just because you have to die in a particular way for it to happen. But certainly, when I don't need them anymore, my wish is that I do pass away in such a way that they can be used to give someone else, like Terry, an extra 32 years of life now he's got that he wouldn't have had before. And he's him and his wife are just beautiful people.
Gordo, at what point along your journey after your transplant did you create your charity and decide that you wanted to do more of this giving?
Well, it was actually the Bedman charity that we're in now. That was formed, I think, in 2016. But prior to that, from the first year that I donated my kidney, and when I realised how important it was to spread that message, because I didn't know that when I pre my my journey through the transplant. I got to know Transplant Australia during that process, and then I heard all the statistics and so forth. So it was in the very first year it was in 2012. That was the year that my operation was. Later that year, the first thing I did for Transplant Australia was a thing we called the Journey of Hope. And back then, I still am. I'm still a private pilot, but I had a little plane back then, and obviously I love flying. And I thought, how can I put two of those together? And we came up with an idea that I would fly from the Gold Coast up to Horn Island, which is off the tip of of the Cape there, and just stop along the way and just spread the message. So that was we call that the Journey of Hope, and that's what I did. I had my father-in-law came with me as like my co-pilot, and we had another friend who was a pilot, and he brought someone else. So we just went along and we just started spreading the message and raising funds for Transplant Australia. The next year was I got some other pilot mates together, and we did what we call what did we call it? The ultimate sleepover, we call it. So what we did, we got kids with transplants from around Australia, well, really from the East Coast, and we flew them out to the Dubbo Zoo, and we had a sleepover in tents out there, and we did the nocturnal thing and all that, and so that's that. All it really started back then, and what was at our last ball in last year, where the last year's fundraising for that ball was to get as many of the kids to the transplant games. So we were raising funds to help them with their costs of getting over there and uniforms and so forth. And one of the little girls, I think she was 5 at the time when we went to the zoo. She was now 16, and she came along as a guest speaker, and we had a video of when we were at over at the zoo, and just to see her now, and she was over in Perth competing, and it was just, it's just amazing to see. Yeah. And again, she would have, if it wasn't for someone giving her the gift of life, she would never have experienced that. So,
As you're talking, Gordo, I'm blown away, and I'm really not only encouraged and inspired, but my heart swells with gratitude, because it's people like you that you illuminate these issues, or these ways that people can become, I guess, more human and tap into our humanity, right? So you're to me like a beacon of light, a illuminated soldier who is on this path of giving and gratitude and serving. You're of service to humanity through the vehicles of the charities, but it's really, you're driven by your heart. And so first of all, I just want to say thank you. And it's just really lovely. I'm really grateful. And I believe there are people in this world, we've all got different journeys, we've all got different skills. And if we do have a predetermined kind of purpose or whatever, you're clearly living yours. And that's clear to see. With regards, when I talk to businesses on this podcast, I've talked to many different types of business owners, as in different industries at different levels, and everyone's got a different view of what 6-star means. And I'll just give you an insight into that, and I'd love to get your response rather than me asking you what you think it is, because you're sitting on the other side in a way. You're not in a for-profit business. You're running the charity. You're connecting with other charities. You're doing these things to raise the level of humanity and the quality of living for people. So you're on purpose. You're living on purpose. And what we say a 6-star business is one where the 6th star is the human. So it's the human tapping into their purpose. It's the human in the business figuring out what their purpose is, to connect and serve others. And regardless of the structure that you're doing it within, like I said, you're not a for-profit business, but you're still delivering this service and doing this in such a beautiful way. Like, you're demonstrating humanity to others. And I think any business owner listening to this, hopefully, can see how it's done, right? And I just want to sort of position that for you, because I can't say I've had anyone on the podcast like you ever before. Absolutely not.
I hope that's a good thing.
I think it's a wonderful thing, because the more that people can, learn and listen from yourself and understand the plight of humanity and how we can help humanity, the world's going to be a better place.
Yeah.
And so for this audience who are business owners, I'd love to hear from you what you can say to them about how they can be more 6-star. How can they tap into their humanity and use their business vehicle for good?
What I can say is, I know. I mean, I'm in business as well. I mean, it's so much of my life. To me, there's not like a clear, definite. I mean, it's just become my life. So whatever in my profit business that I do, I try to be the same person. So it's thinking about what's best, for my customer. I know when I was in another business working, it was with a friend, but we were in business together. We had separate roles, but it was interesting when we kind of chatted about what those roles were. And one day, my associate in that business, he said, "Do you know what I really believe you bring to the business?" He said, because my associate he's an amazing speaker. He's a great communicator and a really great business person. Like, he's one of the smartest guys in business that I know. But he said, "You are the heart of this business," and I love that. I took that as, as a compliment. I took that because, I think that I'm a bit of a nurturer. So all the people, because that business was like a membership, that we had members within that business, and that's what I loved. I loved being able to care for them and look after them and treat them really like family. And that's what I say in my profit business and business where I'm working to earn money and to pay the bills. That's how I want people to feel. I want them to feel that I'm taking their situation, with compassion and wanting the best for them. Because in what I do, there's things I could do that, and I see other people doing it, that you could earn a lot of money doing it, but you're not really taking your client's best interest at heart. So I can't go down that track. I've got to stay true to me and go, offer and present to my clients what's absolutely, that I believe, hand on heart, is the best thing for them. So does that answer the question?
Yeah, it's all about the heart.
Yeah. I think it has to be. But what it's done for me, like I've got clients that have come back and done business with me time and time again, because when you're doing that, they know that. They know that's what you're doing, and there's no problem. There's no there's no reason they don't come back. And that just makes good business sense as well. If you can get repeat business from somebody, it's a lot harder to go out and find a new client than it is to look after one you've already got and do the right thing.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And I got a question, Gordo. What's been a consistent piece of feedback you've heard people say about you, or about the service, or about what you do for them? If there was something that you've heard over and over again over time from other people about you, what's that?
Well, it's I think you mentioned it right at the beginning. I think what people love about me is that, everywhere I go, I bring energy. I'm very I'm a very positive person. I don't. I'm just always looking for the good in every situation. But I think it's the energy and the heart that I have for people. You know, I got to admit, I don't think about a lot. It's just what I do. I got another one of my favorite authors, and I'm sure you know Wayne Dyer. He was the first one that I really thought, wow, the way he talks about, our humanity and our connection to one another, and and just loving one another. I remember I used to work down in regional New South Wales, and I'd spent hours and hours driving, from Coffs Harbour out to Dubbo and Mudgee and around, and I'd play his CDs over and over again, and I just loved his message of love, and I think that's what that started back in about early 2000s, I imagine that was. So it's some 23 years ago, since I kind of was introduced to him, and I still love listening to his message, and yeah, I want to share that message.
you mentioned before that, there's you can see that there's a way to make money from people in one way, but it's not that, or should we say, ethical, or it's not very caring or loving. And I think that's what distinguishes one of the distinguishing features between a six-star business owner and one that's not. Because being six-star means you're not just chasing the money. You're not just going for the profit. You actually care about the impact you're making, and you care about the person you're serving. So it's really interesting that you said that and you were clear about that. And I was like, yeah, this guy really is six-star. What you're saying and doing and living and breathing. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome. Gordo, I've loved talking to you today. I've loved hearing about your journey and, what drives you and what motivates you. Is there a piece of advice or something that you'd like to leave our listeners with as a kind of parting gift, or a little tidbit or a piece of gold that they can take with them and process or mull over, or,
I think the best advice I can give, and I know, and I touched on it before, is just realizing how awesome life is. It's really, it's a gift that we have. Life is every moment. If we can look at every moment, I love the other thing that Michael Singer says. There's at any one time there's 70 billion moments going on in the universe. It was more than that. And so often we think we know everything. I was listening to this morning. He said, I'll give you the greatest book in the world to read. You read one word. Do you know what that book's about? How can you know from one word? And that's like us thinking we know everything about this universe. It's equivalent to that. We think it all revolves around us. It doesn't. The universe has been in creation for 13.8 billion years. It's taken that long to get us to this point. And we think it all revolves around us. It doesn't revolve around us. It's a gift for us. It's a gift for us to enjoy every moment. Get up. We should be able to get up in the morning and giggle. Not get up in the morning and worry about what happened yesterday or worry about what's going to happen tomorrow. Get up in the morning and go, I get the opportunity to experience today. Whatever that is, there might be challenges for us, but hey, we grow from challenges. Challenges strengthen us. Look at it like that. Don't say, oh, how did I get to this position? Okay, well, this is where I'm at. What, just like that, like playing golf, what is the best thing I can do today in this situation? What is the best I can do? And then two things will happen. We're going to be happier than complaining about that, oh no, this is a position I find myself in. What am I going to do? And get upset about it. We're not going to do our best if we do that. If we can say, this is if we look at everything as a gift, it changes it. When we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. We've just got to change the way we look at things. See life as this amazing gift that we don't have to always get what we want, because we won't always get what we want. Life is unfolding. Things are going to happen. And we have to learn to deal with that. We need to deal with it and accept it, embrace it, get in harmony with it. And if we can do that, then what do we really want out of life? We want peace of mind. That's what I think most of them, no matter what you're aiming for, what you really want is peace. And that's a choice. We can have that in an instant if we want to. And sometimes it takes practice to do that. That's why for me, my day starts with some form of meditation or reading, so that my mind is right before I do anything else. I'm not perfect. I still have moments where you do worry about things because things are happening. But the more we can become mindful of that and spend time in appreciation of the things that we have. And number one, just accepting that life is amazing. Life is beautiful. All of it's beautiful. We have, what's one person sees as awful, some other people see as amazing. But the thing is, it's all amazing. Life is all, it doesn't matter what it is. It is what it is. And, you know, something's happening. We can't always change it. So we need to just embrace it and enjoy it and, live every moment.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you, Gordo. Thanks for living every moment, for being present, for being the light and the beacon that you are, and for giving the gift of life to others and inspiring others to be more human and come from their hearts. Because I think that's the effect that you have, well, at least on me today. So I just want to thank you for that. It's been a joy and a pleasure talking to you. I know this conversation is going to inspire many, and I just want to thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
You are very welcome. I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you.